Imagine spending nearly $1 million every single day for 6 years straight. That's over $2 billion. And now imagine having absolutely nothing to show for it. That's Katerra, one of the most well-funded construction startup in the history that went from a Silicon Valley darling to one of the most spectacular bankruptcies ever seen. They promised to revolutionize a $12 trillion construction industry. They built state-of-the-art factories with robots. They acquired elite architectural firms. They signed $40 billion deals in Saudi Arabia, and then they imploded. To understand the hype, you need to understand the team. These were not just some random college dropouts in a garage. This is the story of how brilliant minds from Tesla and Flextronics tried to disrupt the construction industry and failed. Let's dive in. Here's the thing about construction. It's kind of a mess. While tech companies were revolutionizing everything from phones to cars, construction still kind of remained in the past. Projects ran over budget, over schedule. Everyone still relies on a network of subcontractors. There's a lot of coordination issues. And in 2015, 3 guys looked at this and said, we can fix this. Michael Marks, former CEO of Flextronics and interim CEO of Tesla, the guy who mastered high-volume electronics manufacturing. Fritz Wolf, real estate mogul with deep knowledge of multifamily housing. Jim Davidson, co-founder of Silver Lake, one of the most successful private equity firms in the world. Their thesis was all about vertical integration. So in traditional construction, you have a lot of stakeholders. You have an architect, an engineer, a general contractor, 30-40 subcontractors. It's a mess of middlemen. Katerra said, we own it all. One company, one platform. They wanted to own the architecture, the engineering, the material supply, the factory that produced the walls, and the labor that installed them. They called it productizing the building. They claimed to own the entire system. Wood frame on grade, tilt-up concrete structure, cross-laminated structure, cold-form steel, post-tensioned concrete structure, and wide flange structure steel. Tying it all together was Apollo, their proprietary software platform. Apollo Insight, which helped with site selection and feasibility optimization. Apollo Connect, which linked design choices directly to the manufacturing costs in real time. And Apollo Construct, which helped manage tracking of each and every component from factory to install. This was their digital thread connecting everything. They also claimed that they will be able to cut down 20 to 30% of the costs and the timelines in half. Investors heard Salesforce of construction and their eyes turned into dollar signs. Early funding validated the concept. Foxconn invested, Khosla Ventures jumped in. By 2017, they hit unicorn status with $1 billion valuation. But then SoftBank walked in, and that changed everything. January 2018, SoftBank's Vision Fund drops $865 million. Valuation jumps to $3 billion. January 2019, another $700 million. Valuation reaches $4 billion. Here's where things get interesting. And you'll see this pattern repeated in every SoftBank failure story from WeWork to this. That much money, that fast, doesn't help you grow. It forces you to grow. SoftBank wasn't investing in a focused construction company. They were investing in a company that would boil the ocean. Their words, not mine. And then Katerra went on an acquisition spree that would make private equity blush. They acquired Michael Green Architecture for mass timber expertise, Aeck Sargent, an architecture firm with licenses in 31 states, multiple construction companies, engineering firms, even a factory in India. In 3 years, they grew from a handful of employees to almost 8,000 employees across 3 continents. They built factories in Phoenix, Tracy, California, Spokane, Texas, and India. The Tracy facility alone was 577,000 square feet, marketed as the factory of the future with 30 fixed robots and 12 mobile robots. They also signed a $40 billion memorandum in Saudi Arabia to build affordable housing. From the outside, it looked like they were conquering the world. But from the inside, the cracks were already showing. Now let me show you where the model actually broke down. Vertical integration was supposed to eliminate all the coordination problems. Instead, it created new ones. Walk through a typical project. A building owner contracts Katerra to do a 150 building unit in Seattle. The architect starts designing it, but the factory is in Tracy, California, which is optimized for all the building codes in California. Seattle has completely different seismic and energy requirements. The factory needs high volume, standardized production to be profitable, but now it needs custom components for one project. Lead times balloon from 6 weeks to 6 months. Meanwhile, traditional suppliers can deliver in 3 weeks for the same price. One of Katerra's flagship projects involved using factory-built mass timber beams, this precision-engineered wood that were supposed to fit with millimeter accuracy. Zero tolerance, just like electronics manufacturing. But construction doesn't happen in controlled environments. There are a lot of variables. Weather changes such as rain, and even a millimeter of swollen woods led to none of the pre-drilled holes lining up with the steel brackets, and workers had to recut the beams just like, traditional construction, which quadrupled the labor cost and destroyed the project budget. And then there was also the money problem. Katerra often bid projects based on what their integrated model would save and not what it was actually saving. Sales would promise 20 to 30% cost reductions, but when estimators came out to calculate the real cost, they were millions over budget. But here's the killer. Since Katerra internalized the role of being a general contractor, they couldn't pass these overruns to subcontractors. They had to eat the losses themselves. Almost $2.8 billion in losses in their lifetime. Projects after projects bled money. The factories sat idle waiting for projects which were delayed because of permitting, weather, or financing issues. The robots in Tracy, they cost millions, but they spent most of their time sitting idle because construction projects doesn't flow like your manufacturing lines. By late 2019, the wheels were coming off. December 2019, Katerra closes the Phoenix factory. 200 workers laid off. Founder Fritz Wolf quietly exits the board. Behind the scenes, the SEC starts investigating the financial reporting. Allegations surfaced of front-loaded revenue projections to satisfy the investors and to hit valuation milestones. Then COVID hits, project halts, construction costs soar, cash flow collapses. In May 2020, SoftBank intervenes again and provides $200 million in life support funding, but with one condition. Michael Marks, the founder and CEO, is out, and he will be replaced by the former CEO of Schlumberger to stop the bleeding. But unfortunately, it's too late. Here's where it gets really messy. Katerra was heavily dependent on Greensill Capital, another SoftBank-backed company, for their working capital. SoftBank tried to engineer a complex debt for equity swap to keep both companies alive. In March 2021, Greensill Capital collapses. Suddenly, Katerra can't get project bonds, cannot secure credit, cannot procure any materials. On June 6, 2021, Katerra files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The human cost is immediate and brutal. 2,400 employees laid off without severance, without paying off the unused vacation days, developers with half-finished buildings without any recourse, and contractors who never got paid. As for liquidation, the assets got sold for pennies on a dollar. Tracy factory was bought for just $21 million. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars to build that. The Spokane Timber Factory, just $50 million. And the Apollo software for $4.5 million. Total investor losses, over $2 billion. SoftBank lost everything. So what can we learn about this $2 billion disaster? Was Katerra a complete waste? Actually, no. Here's lesson number 1. Being right about the problem doesn't necessarily mean you are right about the solution. The tragedy of Katerra is that they were correct about the problem. Construction is fragmented, it is inefficient, it is complex, but how they went about the solution was completely wrong. And they also proved that you just can't throw money at such a physical industry without understanding the complexity and nuances of it. Lesson 2. Focus beats scale. Katerra tried to vertically integrate everything, every trade, every building type, every market all at once. What if they would have just perfected one thing, one standardized apartment building, proven it works, scaled that, and then expanded. Instead, they were building hotels in Texas, timber apartments in Washington, and affordable housing in Saudi Arabia. All of this while working on in-house components in their factories. Lesson number 3. Too much capital sometimes kills the company. Massive capital removes the discipline required to find the product market fit. It lets you hide operational failures behind the growth metrics. It forces you to blitz scale before you've even proven that your fundamentals work. Katerra spent nearly $1 million every day for nearly 6 years. Imagine if they would have raised only $100 to $200 million and forced to make that work. Maybe they would be still around. Here's the thing, Katerra's vision wasn't entirely wrong. Construction does need innovation. The labor productivity has stagnated for decades. The housing crisis is real. But innovation in construction won't come from trying to replace the entire system overnight. It will come from companies that understand the problem, focus on solving specific problem, prove that their model works before scaling, respect the complexity of building in a physical world, and partnering with the industry rather than trying to replace it. Katerra's legacy isn't just a cautionary tale, it is a $2 billion lesson for all the startups that come after. The construction industry didn't fail to adapt. Katerra didn't understand what they were adapting to. And that was the story of Katerra. If you found this video insightful, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me in the comments what are some other construction stories you would like for me to cover. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.